Oh. Oh, so he originally was supposed to have like a sword? That's neat. This might get into spoilers. I've gotten in the first cross-examination that occurs in both greatest. So there's 4 episodes of each. 5. 5 episodes of each. And then we have extras. BP game. Join later. Sorry, couldn't join earlier stream. That's fine, Zoka. We were just having fun. Trial Part 3. 22nd of November. 1:14 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature. Courtroom 2. Right. Pink Lady came in with what I can only assume is the poison. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense, but why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha! A judicial assistant, and a woman no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. What? That's lame. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're a little too late, girl. You're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes? I will not allow more. But, Your Excellency... I am most grateful. Who are you exactly? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please simply accept this for now. What? A report about something written in English? It's Giselle Brett. It's Giselle Brett's research. The English woman? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory and in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yeah, that's right. Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of Curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? Never heard of that word before. Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There is too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Giselle's report has been entered into the court record. A report detailing an unknown poison that Miss Brett has been researching during her time at Yume University. Goodbye then, and good luck. You have had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now, one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. Hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Effect: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry: the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of full-body paralysis must be found first, where patients would die of suffocation. Oh, we have people. British exchange student who is studying under the victim at Yume University's medical school. The judicial assistant of defense lawyer Kazuma Asogi. Okay. The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. No more to add, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our last chance. I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency? If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question, however. I must ask you to treat it as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, Counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? This.
Yes!
Miss Giselle Brett. We understand you're studying under Dr. Wilson at Yume University, doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? A toxin knows its cure, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death. What complete and utter nonsense. Cure, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of Curair before, For one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist? Correct. Which means, no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify Cure Air. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? So then why is he bleeding from the mouth? Because that's not what that does. Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, Cure Air has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle. And if it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers, it claims that animals shot by arrows laced with Cure Air suffered instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett? Attention! Trumpery. These aspersions are utterly trumpery. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he wouldn't have been squirming and writhing in pain. He would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed. That is true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that Cure Air was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he collapsed on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. And that's hideous. To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep, but for the victim himself, his final moments would be living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly Cure Air poison. Oop. Okay. So you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison? This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherunto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. Isn't the point of this to find things that were like, shouldn't you be... Never mind. If I may, all these facts, you think you're so clever, but you... It is you who must be taught. Of course. Dear lady, So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime? That really is a loathsome act, wouldn't you agree? Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. We have a person not from Japan in the courtroom. Is that breaking the rules? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not? Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Sorry? To an Englishwoman such as myself, Solafair is, farcical comedy? Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics is laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers! No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Kind of figured that's what happened. She took the other glass because she laced the glass before it was poured. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no cure. Bottle's clean. Is that what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course. That's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Yes. Dear lady, we are most grateful with all the assistance you have given. There had to be a poison left in the bottle. So how did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for an interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle. Isn't there? No, not necessarily. It could have just been in the glass. But there can't have been, otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Ryunosuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water, it doesn't contain poison. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why? Ryunosuke. Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead. Isn't it obvious? If there were poison in there, she'd be dead by now. sometimes your unadulterated naivety really astounds me, but sometimes it's in need of a good staining until it's as dark as your uniform and the ways of the world. Oh, is that what color this color is supposed to represent? But that's not what I meant. No, this whole trial is poisoned. There has to have been poison in the battle, doesn't there? It contains poison? The defendant refuses to change its position. You're serious? Well, are you blind? There is no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court records somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. But explains how the witness was able to consume this poisoned water unscathed. This is just a hunch, because it's like the only thing I can think of that it would be, but to present the glass. It's only real source of complication in this case. You have to think harder than that. Oh, great. Alright, I'll do my best to find an answer that fits the facts. Does it has to be injected, not ingested? If the defense, the sorry, wretched accused, truly intends to assert this claim, I must ask you to provide evidence. I guess I'm just gonna... The research? That's not a valid explanation. After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone. Honest, I'm just reading Susato's son's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. Will you direct us to the pertinent section, Counsel? Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? Special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this Curair poison, and it's left me curious about something. Oh, Counsel? Well, it sounds as though the indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat it. Get to the point, please. But if they were to use the laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would have to be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Good point. So, surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because they'd be eating poison? Good gracious, Council, no, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum. In this research paper here, under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that peculiar detail seems a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Curair enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poison effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Curair's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little... It's alive? Rapscallion! That's a good word. Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer? All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how possible... Did her mask get bigger too? Is she's wearing a different mask? Or did it always, like, just clip through her mask or her hat or something? So the ill-bred puppy has a new toy to play with, some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce Curair is safe to ingest. It seems likely its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus. Oh yes, well, of course, gastric suckers? What are they? So, if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? That's right. Good gracious. That's the basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand. No. Order in the court. Order. The logic holds if the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest? Yes. This Curair poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. What is this welling up inside me? I have never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey. Objection! Yes, you said the word! Womp. I don't think so, Miss Giselle Barrett. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well there is no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both of you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Just kidding. That needs to be an emote. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, you must provide compelling evidence. As we know now, that poison is completely harmless when ingested. Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the Curair? I'm gonna save again. Is there a reason why she wanted the glass taken? No, okay. I'm sorry, Counsel, but the slipshod manner in which you've tossed the evidence before the court does not inspire confidence. Huh? Listen, Ryunosuke, there's no need to overthink this. We know that the curator's toxic effects only come into play when the poison enters the body via a wound. Oh, the surgery! So that can only mean that when Dr. Wilson drank his glass of water, he must have had a wound somewhere that left the poison. Yep, I'm tracking. Yeah, no, I just searched it. He just had surgery. As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same glass of water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? Blah. Hold on. Perfect. The toxic effects of Curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an opened wound. So for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Oh. Miss Bright, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist these childish courtroom games. And your half-baked arguments are so puerile. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No. I mean, it could just slip. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. No. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of that water from the broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there was really poison in the bottle or not. Ew. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for prosecution? Oh, of course, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady? That's right. And really looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. Oh, the poor professor was sitting... Yeah. That's right, and really, looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? And the poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So, of course, the only person who could have shot him from the front is this little schoolboy. No, you killed the victim that day, using cure air. And then in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you arranged for him to find on the floor before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor and his chair around. You see? You had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. Why do you want to convict a child, my guy? And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest, delivered in cold blood by the accused Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now... Is she really gonna get away with it? The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene. Ryunosuke. Yeah? We've come this far now, but now you're the only one who can finish it. I've apparently been the only one who can finish it. You told me this before. What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true, so if there are any clues for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Every color. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of the same scene in my head. Could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? Obviously there's a clue. If there's not, we're dead. Actually, Kazuma, I think that I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. You always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on then, let's wipe the smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait. It's been niggling? What does niggling mean? Hello? Interesting. Slight, persisting annoyance. Whatever it could be is the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. The clue that shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been is... What? Is it just... Professor, or Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes, what is it? He's still miles away, probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime, like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day? Wait a minute. Where are you going with... Where exactly are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene of this shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw that on the wooden base plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph, and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way the blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Yeah. For blood to have made it on the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor, as you were. Giselle Barrett. I beg your pardon? This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense. This court is seriously expected to believe something that the accused has apparently just remembered seeing? Well, we're apparently supposed to just accept something you remembered finding. Hold it! This could be the moment that that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean... Yes, I took the plate. In the interests of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime, I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak you had been eating, Miss Brett, and I took the steak the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now. Inspector? The court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. Sorry for the delay. Here is what you ordered. The steak. Oh, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood. Man, show the court. Of course. Examining the plate at your own leisure. Wow. No blood. No blood anywhere. But no. That's impossible. I know I saw it. I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on his side. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire, I believe we may have finally reached a conclusion in this trial. Let's hope so. Let's pretend attempt at courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over. Ha! This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts too, all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. Plate of steak has been entered into the court record. Yes, please. Was the plate I saw, or thought I saw, just a figment of my imagination? Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin. The hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe. No, I don't mean what is it. I mean, what is it doing there? Wait, did you say it was Hoei Koban? Yeah, apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time. Yeah, it's... I knew it! He grabbed the wrong steak! I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bouillon and bouillon. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. It means... It's well marinated in juices as well. Look, what are you thinking of eating it? No. The next time I order steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's gonna be racing if I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryunosuke. Upon coin underneath the steak, there's only one logical explanation. This is it now, I've lost. Ryunosuke, it's not over yet. Not until the final gravel. Huh? Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward no matter what.
What?
I believe in myself, really? Thank you for the hydrate, Raya. Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself.
I did that already. Bleh.
There's a coin underneath the meat. This is not her steak. The investigator bungled the evidence. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume further examination of this evidence in trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objectives? Bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? There is another clue. There's a coin. Lift the meat. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth. Objection! Shut up. The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beefsteak. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, isn't it? Shut up! Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense. You will now clearly show the court what you are eluding. Where precisely on this plate of beefsteak is this new clue to be found? It's right here, sir. This one. No, Counsel, I'm afraid that won't do. That was ambiguous at best here to identify a detail. Fine. It's right there. No, it's... I'm just doing things not in the right order because I don't know if... Lift the steak, boy. We've already seen this. Yes. This is the third time I've gone through this. This is not a... I need to adjust these settings. There we go. It's a meaty coin, my sir. Your Excellency. Good gracious. That's... a Koban? What on earth? I love this face. Mask just goes whomp. A Hoei arrow wanted that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you... This is in fact the beefsteak you ordered at the restaurant on that day in question, is it? Eh? Wait. Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat? What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, and I want no part of it. She also has burb. I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chief in a moment of distraction. Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoe Kaban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak? If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, then I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain now. He's right, it can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency? Yes, Counsel? A rare Hoe Kaban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I give up my lawyer job right now. By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway. Dang, old man, sit down. Thank you. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it's you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here? The point is, it is essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that steak. The owner? Yes, it's obviously obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. The owner of the Kaban that was found underneath the beefsteak is this guy.
Take that!
Take hat. Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Kiyurio Korikuta-san. Kiyuri? As in Mr. Cucumber something? Oh. Kiyuri? As in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. That makes sense, because his head be long as heck. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying he was up to something with this Kaban coin when it happened. At exactly that moment, the gun was fired.
The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor.
Too busy on the floor? Sorry. What were you doing?
Hunting for treasure. Indeed, the Hoe Era Kaban, my prized coin.
And then this Hoe Era Kaban, do you mean to tell me? No, please. Why would Korikuta-san's Kaban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense. It's not the... You mean the witnesses? The victim did not order steak. You are a failure of a prosecution, Ouchie. You've just made the biggest ouchie of your career.
Yes!
By trying to bully this crap into a kid and get him convicted when he is not guilty. Which is why I'm asking to bring Korikuta-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. Are we gonna have 4 of them on the witness stand now? Can't believe we've come back around to that pair again. But I have a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Kaban, we'll find that it's a key element in the case. I've kind of just solved where we're going. Like, It's gonna show that it's not her steak. Oh, sweet. All 4 of them that are there. The child is still throwing a tantrum. And he still has the old man jitters.
What is this all about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize it's dinner time for little baby Ido? And when my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police, we were like miserable dogs forced to bear false witness.
Sir, we can't have you stabbing people in court. I get it, you're upset, but put the knife away. And don't take it back out.
And when cast from this courtroom myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Ratsute shop owner's existence.
Be that as it may, Korikuta-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute memory serves. Just nonchalantly stabs a dude in the foot.
Yes, that's it. The very one. The very one. The very exact one that is. The resplendent, splendiferous Hoy treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace on that fateful day. It can't be.
As I thought.
Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped?
Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your Koban sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices.
Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously?
Clearly, it could have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose.
Somebody concealed my Hoey treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate. Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing. The old man voice noises. Angry old man noises. Yes,
Excuse me, could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier on the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. That's right. The secret undercover operation. La Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant, and it attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, it's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip this case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you're sent undercover, isn't it? Yes, I took on the job of a waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban's incident is the work of the same thief. So, unbeknownst to him, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but The identity of the person who stole and hid Kurikuta-san's koban is all too clear. What?
What?
I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole the Kurikuta-san's koban and hid it under the stake? This guy!
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you. Sergeant Yesa Nosa.
What? How? How dare you, you monster?
Monster? I stole that koban, didn't I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I?
You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet?
But it wasn't me, it was Ido. Ido's the mastermind behind all of this. Just goes to frame his child. I'm sending you a screenshot of this, Rhea, because I want to make an emote out of it later, and I need somewhere to save it that's easy to access. How dare you frame your baby? Your bouncing baby boy. Why didn't we actually be him? You would push the blame of your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa.
You...
Clippity clippity clop. Clop. Midtime. Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Iesa Nosas preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. Do any of you know of the extraordinary low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place. And I have heard it's hard for lowering rank soldiers to make a living, yes.
All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son.
That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant?
And the place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time.
It sounds like he doesn't bother with the knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man and his koban?
Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped a coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are.
I was all set to leave the steak. I was halfway through devouring it when it happened. Yeah, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished too. I'd owe too, so I hit the incriminating evidence as fast as I could on the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. Huh? This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling on your own time. Well, Miss Brett? Of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency. Indeed. The theft of the caban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Murder? Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Did everybody forget what this even means? It means that that wasn't her steak, which means that we need to examine her plate. Well, oof. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Very well, now that all questions concerning this witness testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. Ryunosuke, have you forgotten what this means? That's what I'm saying. Ryunosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. Well, if that's the case, don't just stand there thinking, make your voice hurt. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call it out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over. Stop the crazy swan lady! Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your own parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction? What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. As for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Oh, your steak.
Take that!
The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed? Yes, go on. More accurately, Your Excellency. The steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about the steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's being eaten. Wop. I see you noticed it too, Miss Brett. Noticed what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. Then take a good look at the steak in particular, the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. Oh. Ah. Looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate to eating anything without using a knife and I can't believe this is where we're... Okay. See, I thought it was just gonna be... Obviously, he said he slid it under his steak, therefore it's his steak. Not going as far as to, like, he literally picked this up, like, ham-fisted a steak and just started, like, ripping it apart like a savage. Would be what set it apart from the two of... from it being Brett's steak. There shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all. But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was... Oh, this is new. Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course. Well, I'll be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. Leave everything to... I've heard enough. You're irritating little speckled samurai relic. Of course, dear lady. What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Do you know where you're going with this? Yes. I've known for so long now. The mysterious teeth marks in the steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept all that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that it tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been... What? But just because it hasn't been shown yet doesn't mean the evidence does not exist. This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it. I don't, but there's someone who does. Someone in this very courtroom. What? If that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be the last request of the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that the human who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth about this whole affair? You.
Take that!
Wow. The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. Wait, I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on the steak with the teeth marks. Yes? Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Gnosis told the court the following. I'd enjoyed chomping my way through a good steak, as well as admitting to stealing Kurikuta-san's coin. He told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Tian-shun? Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal.
Attention!
That makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table. Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Not really. Honestly. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly, surely you're not going to suggest that Sergeant switched the two steaks over? What? No. You did switch the plates. Well, after it happened, bang. When I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak, hid the coin underneath it, but then the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman. I thought I had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what had to be done. Unbelievable. I thought the guy had made a mistake, but this... I still got something wrong with it. However, fear not, prosecutor son. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform, that is all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
Excuse me. So if Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate was on it. And the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. She's literally ripping at her mask with her teeth. That is correct. Then please present it to the court now. the plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot. What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat? It can't have the slightest bearing on the case. We're looking for a bloodstain on the plate, not the meat. You know this. Shut up.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your way out of it this time, lady.
I beg your pardon?
Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you, no? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see the plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing.
Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett.
On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear splattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and the plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you. Here's the other steak in its plate.
There's blood. There's blood on this plate.
Please, feel free to examine it. And the blood stain is clearly visible, look. Now this makes everything clear. The blood you see on the side of the plate, that shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. What?
It can't be.
In fact, there's only one person who possibly could have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. And I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. Ugh. That's right. Miss Giselle Brett. It is you! Ma'am? Is your corset too tight?
Outdone by a Japanese, me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No, no, no!
Did it just pop out a baby? She just died. There's chicks everywhere. This court's a chick magnet.
Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me.
Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time.
Gladly, Your Excellency.
I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you and your meddling kids.
It was I who took the professor's life using Curare.
As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you plan to kill the professor knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water? Because cure air is unheard of it here in Japan? Yes. Of course. I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water and would be all over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he'd been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose? Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter. But the fact that you decided to come over and to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of cure air in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right, there were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. A place where you're sure that I would have noticed it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I intended. And then just as you bent down to pick it up, kabang. I did take my meds, thank you. That's when you shot the professor with your own gun, even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. Thank you for checking. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor around and his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he'd picked the gun up. Oh. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Murder isn't a misdemeanor. Murder is a felony. Excellency? Yes. I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. No. And like that, she's gone. It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement.
This can't be. Takesuchi Aochi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student.
You'd better start getting used to tough opposition. Ryunosuke Naruhodo! What, yes? This is an insult to the Aochi family name and will never be forgotten. It's not an insult, it's just your failure, dude. Stop projecting. You've become conceited with age, Council. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Are you gonna... huh? From across the room? That's anime as heck. And thank you for the hydrate, Rhea. A 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Aochi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. Them are fighting words. This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. I thank you, Your Excellency. Use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world, but the Western's idea of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what it will look like, I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma August Asogi. After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can, absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. As for you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo... Oh, yes? In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential? I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, not guilty. We did it! Oh, it's Sakura blooms. It's not Gumshoe and his confetti. Sad. It makes sense, but This court is now adjourned. I ought to smack you two. I won't, but I oughta. 22nd of November, 2:46 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature's Defendants Antechamber 5. I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through to that horrendous trial. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No. It was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street? Don't forget. Good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Ah, her trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result, too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much. If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Ah, yes, of course. Memories. Mikotoba. Speaking of Mikotoba, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you, after all. Your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Oh yeah, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that is right. Professor Mikotoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably that's when you met Dr. Wilson? Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now, besides. It's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world. In science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me. What's happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's gonna face trial herself now. She's the culprit after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future for Shanghai. Wait, Shanghai? Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country, I'm certain of that. But why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga? It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate... But what's all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What, we can't try her? But then who? Who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply just don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past, and now that we've signed the friendship treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. And so long as this is not a serious incident of highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke consular court just like that. Uh-oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our government's making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid for that young student. Today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of competence for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil. This new era heralded by a start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive judgment she deserves. Oh, this takes place well before the first game. Holy. Yes, change is coming. And we're the ones driving it. Well, I think enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But, Professor... You're right. There's no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. I swear to God, if you cough on me, Hosonaga. In that case, might I suggest La Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about the details for now. To La Carnival. Will you accompany us, Professor? Of course, the Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh, yes, thank you. So Giselle Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. He coughed up blood? Yeah, he was coughing up blood all day yesterday, too. Or not yesterday. No, yesterday. Like, we thought... Marquise and I thought he tested for poison in the bottle by drinking it. But no, apparently he's just dealing with something that very frequently makes him cough up blood. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. Kazuma. Yes, Ryunosuke? I just wanted to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? The defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. Welcome back, Zoka! What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial, but you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh no, not me. All that tense verbal combat? I never want to go through that again. I did what you told me to do, that's all. Because I knew I could trust you. Played some RL last night? Nice. That's the point. Sorry, what do you mean? That's the point? Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know what the most crucial weapon that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No! Boulder Dash! We need to know nothing about the law! See? No. The ability to believe, dummy. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for all his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in... Oh, like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in, and stick to it when you're defending someone. This is the power of anime and friendship is on our side. Isn't it beautiful? But you have to make a choice about what to believe in, and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom, you can really be backed into a corner, but being able to remain faithful to what you choose to believe in, even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. Well, you face seemingly hopeless situations time and time again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it. Through your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. It sounds serious. What is... Oh, you're still here, are you? Have you not wiped the blood off of your mouth yet, my guy? I've arranged for some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick this conversation up, or pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And yours, study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Words. Whoa. Yes, that too. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma, Professor Mikotoba, Susato-san, who acted as my assistant, Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. It was all because of the help and support of these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much I would change my life. It would change my life. Endo. Yes, save. And that is where I'm gonna call stream. So that's neat. Each of these takes about, or at least these ones took about 2 hours per section. So that's not bad. That is really, really not bad. But this is where I'm going to call stream. Because my brain's tired. My voice is tired. I'm gonna be doing more Resident Evil 6 with Nigel tomorrow. I'm not sure about the time. We'll figure it out, though. But yeah, thank you for lurking and joining. You enjoyed your stay? I'm glad. This is effectively just me giving chat a story time, and I'm enjoying it. Because it's also story time for me. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry, Zoka. Being busy is hard to deal with sometimes. I get that. I'm busy so much of the time as well. I just stream when I can. I'm trying to get better about publishing VODs and stuff, though, for people who can't see all of my streams. No, I went live. Mm-hmm. Crunch ASMR. Crunch, yum, yum. Wait. There you go. Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna go unwind, Thank you so much for staying, for catching whatever you can, for spending any amount of time here. I really appreciate it. Honestly, better without the reverb. Bye, Zoka. Bye, Rhea. And bye, anyone who's lurking. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, morning, or night, wherever it is, wherever you are. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.